Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody.
How's it going? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, and I just unmuted. Everybody has to check their mute buttons because mine was muted. Terry, yours is muted still?
All right. Welcome, everybody, to
You have to put your sound on, Richard. It's not on.
No,
Now it's on.
We're good.
Everybody's here.
Everybody's on, I think.
Yeah, there we go.
And there's Richard.
Say
Hello,
Richard.
Hello, Richard. What?
Hi, Richard.
So, Jordan, you want to start off here and introduce everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Or do you want everybody to quickly introduce themselves?
Yes.
Which one?
What do you think, buddy?
Always interesting trying to figure out who's going to go first here. Well, I think I have a video open that has volume on. That's what it is. There we go. Oh, technology. Well, welcome, guys, to our first virtual and 15th annual Russell Ferber Foundation fundraiser. We're here with all of our scholars that we were able to get tonight, as well as Richard and Deborah Grousman from CCAP. Welcome, everybody. For those that might not have been to our event before or might be somewhat unaware of what we do, one of the primary beneficiaries of our foundation is a two-year scholarship at the CIA and the Pastry and Baking Arts program, which is through CCAP, Careers Through the Culinary Arts program, which Richard started, I don't know how long ago, but it's I think one of the greatest. How many years ago?
30.
30 years ago.
Oh.
And continues to be a shining example of what nonprofits in general should do, but also of what it is to be in the culinary world. And all of our kids here that are here with us today are beneficiaries of the scholarship. And Terry is a CCAP teacher and chef and has worked with some of the kids that we have here. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I always feel like, we do our event in person every year. And that may be one of the few times that you guys all get to hang out with each other.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
True.
But I feel like when we have our event, I see you guys all sort of, with each other. I feel like we've helped foster a relationship between you guys.
And you haven't, and you didn't have to bake for anything for this year, so
That's true.
So Melissa was our second scholar.
Yes.
I want to talk for a minute and go around and just sort of talk about how you guys got involved with CCAP.
Me was high school, actually. Believe it or not, when I first started my freshman and sophomore year, I went to Catholic school, so I was nowhere near or did anything culinary. And it was until I transferred schools to Tottenville, which was a public high school here in Staten Island. And I went into the cooking class, and the chef Vinny, he was the one who introduced me to CCAP, and then he was like, you should do it. And then I only applied to the Culinary Institute of America. I didn't apply to any other school. And surprisingly, that went well. Thank God. Yeah.
And then after you was our first scholar, Dominique, and our third scholar, Santo. We had a brief interview with yesterday that I'm going to be playing after this. But then our fourth scholar was Jesse.
Hi. So I went to Long Island City High School, and I had Mr. Mathis.
Am I wrong about the...
no, your word is right.
I had Mr. Mathis for a couple weeks, and then my schedule changed, and I ended up having Miss Meliti for the rest of my 4 years there. And I always wanted to be in the kitchen. So when I heard about CCAP and all the opportunities, I jumped on board and tried to go to every event possible, try to help out whenever I could, after school, during school, whatever was available. And I actually applied to 4 schools, but CIA was definitely my number one choice, but I had to have safeties. And I got in and, graduated, went through the whole process, and it was a great experience, really.
How are you feeling now?
I'm getting better. Thank you.
Jessie is
and then-
recuperating from major back surgery, so she's had a tough year, but we're all rooting for her.
Yes.
and then after that was Nicole.
Hi, yes, I'm Nicole. So I'm from Manhattan, and actually I went to high school at Food and Finance High School. I knew I wanted to do something in culinary, and I actually went there because that's what they did. And I remember in 10th grade, I had a teacher, Chef Lynch, and he actually introduced me to, that CCAP competition was something that we could do to get scholarships to go to college. And I was like, oh my God, I'm on board. So I stuck with him. He was a really great mentor. He actually did the whole competition with me. He was a very big supporter of me. And I remember going into the interview room, and I only wanted to go to one school. It was CIA. And I think that, Mr. Grossman can say, I'm pretty sure he remembers, I was very adamant I was going to go to the CIA no matter what, if I got a scholarship, if I didn't. So, and I was very lucky, and I did receive a scholarship. I received the scholarship through you guys, the Russell Ferber Foundation. And, I was ecstatic, and I had a great time, and yeah.
Next was what comes Ricard, who also was Food and Finance High School.
Yeah. So I am a food and finance alum. I really loved my, entire experience at food and finance, and I took every opportunity that I could possibly to just get involved with as much as I can around campus. Like on the board of the Food Education Fund was, a lot of people who had connections to CCAP, or a lot of people who had industry connections, and they were always telling me about things that CCAP did for our school. So in hearing about the Food Education Fund and CCAP and how they work together to help our school, I was like, wow, do they have stuff that we can do now? As a sophomore, I was one of the first sophomores to get to do the junior programs that they had at school and the senior programs that they had at school very often. So CCAP was kind of my way of, edging my foot into getting my first job, which I did 2016. I worked at Union Fair, which is closed now, but that was with Chef Tiago Silva, and I had an amazing time. It's totally inspiring. And then, there, just keep going.
Well, we love Thiago. He's great.
Yeah. And you're back at school now, right? They just started classes up again?
Yes.
Very
So I'm back at school. I'm currently in the class of advanced baking and pastry. So we're doing, vegan, vegetarian,
Chef
gluten-free.
Chef Cabbage. Is that
Chef
Cabbage?
There's a hilarious. Because we have to social distance, of course, we're in creating a bubble for our campus. There's a bunch of hilarious advertisements or signage of him doing a coppage split, which is just literally him holding up
Yes.
one
Those are
coppage
legendary.
is the best thing ever.
Great.
I love it.
And this is Leslie. Leslie just graduated high school. Did you go to Food and Finance also?
No, I went to Long Island City High School.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, LAC. I kind of got involved to the pastry world because when I went into high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and so I just went to LAC. I'm like, yeah, this seems interesting, right? I'm gonna do some culinary. I'm gonna learn something. I'm gonna learn how to cook, and then I had my first internship in sophomore year. I'm like, this is amazing. I had it at Butterfly Bake Shop. I'm like, this is exactly what I want to do. Hold up, I'm sorry. I'm like, this is exactly what I want to do, and it was really fun to see that I wanted to do that. And for the first time, I'm gonna go to culinary school. I want to go to school. I want to go to college. And my top two choices were CIA and Johnson & Wales. I was never really deciding on which one I wanted to go, but those were my top two. And I went through the competition and everything, so that was that's how I got into this all, and I got the scholarship.
Yeah. And you're going to start next January, right?
January.
Right. And in the meantime, if anybody knows of a job for her, job.
My mother is always the most shameless, even when I'm in here as well. I'm pretty shameless as well.
I have,
but I'd love to talk to
anyone who wants to can reach out to me, and I have tons of job opportunities for people who are looking right now.
Right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you get together after tonight.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from Richard or Deborah or Terry about what it's like when these kids first get the scholarships, how you help foster them to get them ready for actual culinary work.
Well, let me start off by saying it's very good to have Terry on this call because Terry was the first teacher I met. I went to the Board of Ed thinking that I could be of help to students, and the Board of Ed said, good idea, but we don't have any money. And so I said, well, can I visit one of your classes? And they said, yes. And it was Terry, and you were at
Prospect Heights.
Right.
Prospect Heights High School.
And I remember walking into the classroom and the door was locked behind me. And in those days, you weren't allowed to leave the classroom because of gangs or whatever was happening in the schools. But at that class, Terry, if you remember, half your classroom were newly arrived Haitian students learning English, and you were trying to bake bread or make bread with the rest of the class. I walked around the classroom opening cabinets and looking in drawers, and I saw that they were empty. So at the end of the class, I went up to Terry and I introduced myself. I said, my name is Richard Grousman. I've been teaching French cooking for the past 15 years for the Cordon Bleu. If there was something I could do to help you, what would it be? And you laughed at me. And I said, why? And you said, I spent my own money today to buy flour. And that's all I needed to know. So I realized that school system didn't have any money. And I went to the industry, got products, did some few classes teaching the teachers, and then the program got started. And just to let you all know, you all mentioned that it was your teacher that got you started. And I have read essays for 30 years, and predominantly, it's the teacher that has been the inspiration for the students focused on culinary.
Yeah.
Most people come into the classroom, don't know what they want to do. They want extra food, or they want to be with the girls, or whatever the reason.
That was definitely Russell.
They weren't in there become a chef. But because of the teacher focused that student on the possibilities of making it a career, and then led you to us and our competitions. And through our competitions, we've helped you get into college and scholarships. And it was at that time that I really get to know you and follow your career. And those that keep in touch with me get the benefit of introductions to different chefs or industries or other chefs. And that's why I just recently, I hope you all know about CCAP Connect. And if you haven't joined, please join, because the future of that platform is for you to get to know CCAP alums all over the country. And by getting to meet them, you'll be able to share things and grow and create wonderful things.
Like I always say that CCAP is changing the world. One student at a time.
It's Terry that we have to hear from as to what a teacher does to get you to where you are today.
Yeah, why don't you talk about that for a minute, Terry?
Well, first we get started with the hardest part of the business, which is the safety and sanitation. And it's the hardest part for me because the kids really don't want to hear it. They don't want to learn about how to carry a knife or how to wash a pot. They really don't want to know about anything to do with anything that takes time away from cooking. So it's It's every day, 3 days of knives, 3 days of washing your hands, coughing and sneezing, and the whole 10 days, it's real torture. But I've done it a couple of times in summer school programs. We just got up and started right away cooking, and it was a nightmare for the kids. They didn't know what to do, how to do it, and it just doesn't work. So to get the hardest part out of the way for those 10 days, and then once we start cooking, everyone is on fire. They're motivated, they're in heaven, they're doing what they came to the school for, and they're semi-professional. They really know the kitchen inside out because they've been there for 10 days, and we go on tours into the storeroom where to find the pots and how to put them away when you're done with them to make sure they don't get moldy and smelly by having water sitting in 3 days. You put them upside down. Really minor little things like that made everything work so the kids really feel special. It's just kind of like a boot camp for the military, where the hardest part comes first, and then once boot camp is over, it's a breeze. So it's pretty much the most important thing I can think of that I did. And then after that, the connections that with the French chefs from Manhattan, that was wonderful. Big motivator for the kids. They really were very proud of themselves to be in the city and proud of themselves to be working for a European chef. And that was pretty much CCAP facilitated and really a perfect combination.
Nice. I'd like to put it out to some of the other to some of the kids here. I mean, what was your guys' experience like at CIA and getting that kind of teaching?
James, we're in the middle of taping live.
I don't know who wants to go first there.
I mean, I guess I'll start. I mean, I thought it was really great. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but they're starting classes. They're starting a new group of kids every 3 weeks there. They got this thing, like, they got this program under wraps, down packed, like, to a T, like, it's like military, like he said. It's like a military school. I actually love that aspect of it. I loved that I got to go in with a group of, I remember I went in a group of 22 kids, and I graduated with 14 of them, okay? Wow. And I went through this whole program with those 14 kids, and I saw them in every class, and I hung out with them every day. So, and I thought it was great. Like, I loved that everybody was in the same uniform. Everybody had, you know, their toolkit. That was your personal stuff, and you had a purpose. You know, you had when you got to a class, they gave you a packet that said you have this job, you're going here, you're going there, you're doing this day, and all that. So, like, but it was great because it was like you always had something to focus on, always had something to do and learn, and you had fun doing it. Like, I loved it. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Russell did too. Russell thrived there, and he wasn't used to structure. I mean, Russell didn't have that much structure. Didn't go to schools that they were structured, but he was always sort of not very good with authority. But here, he respected it. He really thrived.
Yeah, and I really respected every chef, and like they commanded respect, and you saw it, and you learned from day one. They weren't going to take no bull BS for no one. You were there to learn, and you were there to listen to what they had to say. So, and you know, I had a great time going through the program, and I had a great time going on extern. I thought it was a great experience. I learned so much. I thought it was a great freedom to get to go out, learn, you know, get experience, and then come back. You know, like that the program got in the halfway part, and you came back, and then you really finished out the harder classes, and you know, you did your practical, and they made sure you were ready, and it was just so much fun getting to do that and get to the end and graduate, and because you really did accomplish something great. You know, you did this hard program and did it. You know, you walked out of there with your friends and your degree, and you did it because for me, it was because of CCAP. I wouldn't have been able to do that. You like if if it wasn't for CCAP and the fact that I had put myself out there, went and did the competition, went to practice after school every day, and really pushed myself to say, okay, I want to do this. So, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else want to talk about their time at CIA?
Well, for me personally, the CCAP program kind of drills it into your head that you're going to be, your nails are going to be checked, your shoes are going to be checked. You have to wear, white undergarments, or else, they could see through the uniform. And that's super important that like you have to follow everything. Your undershirts need to be nice and ironed or steamed. Your jacket always clean, apron, side towels, everything. So when I walked in there and there are people, getting yelled at because they weren't quite up to par, I was prepared for that. It was like CCAP prepared you, as in like military schools, to actually join the military. It was kind of, the perfect combination, because you went in prepared and you weren't just all of a sudden, hit with a brick wall that you went from being, a sloppy individual to having to be, perfect. But they really, the whole program, just the 16 weeks of fundamentals were really great, because they really worked with you. And my group, I think, was one of the only groups that started out with like a full class and ended with maybe 2 people leaving here and there. But we actually had the entire group almost go all the way through. But I agree, having that break for externship in the middle, it really separated the people who weren't too sure about the field and were just kind of doing it to do it, and those who really understood that this is what I want. I enjoyed it. I did the work and then wanted to continue on to actually graduate. Because the amount of students that realized halfway through that this isn't perfect for them, it really gave them the opportunity to make that decision and, go on from there. But, I wouldn't change anything. They gave me so many opportunities, and I was even able to audit the fish and meat class, which weren't available to pastry students. But if you paid a little bit extra, you were able to learn how to fabricate. So if you're thrown into a restaurant like I was for externship, where I had to actually help out the culinary side, I learned a lot with them. But now if I am ever in that position again, I'm prepared. I know how to break down a chicken, break down parts of, a cow and a pig, and I can, descale a fish and take out the bones and everything. And I'm prepared for it, which is amazing, because a lot of places it's like, this is your core program, this is all you can do, and no step further. But with CIA, they let you do not anything you want, but you have the opportunity to kind of broaden your horizons within the program itself. And I think that was really great, and CCAP really prepared me for that.
Nice.
And Jaquad, who's still in school, you're like, a little closer than some of these other guys are to the actual classroom.
I would say I found it interesting that everyone mentioned the militaristic, side of the school. I, as a person, am very regimented myself. I'm very, I'm a serious person at heart. I'm an introvert at heart. I would call myself an ambivert. So coming to a school like CIA is really great, because I've already been past that point where I'm out of my shell and comfortable with myself. But just being in these classes and really learning, how to work with others who are at different levels than you, different age groups, all different backgrounds is amazing. I don't know, a more realistic point of view that I would say that I guess no one has touched on yet is just like, I wish CIA had a little bit more to do with mental health and a little bit more things that focused on that, in that aspect. But other than that, I really love every experience that I've had so far at CIA. I've made really great mentor chefs, and a lot of chefs that I meet here, I actually know from working out in the industry. I come back here and I have stories that I'm, speaking of their friends and stuff like that, or their people that they've worked with 20 years ago even. And it's just amazing how we're all connected through, through food.
Great. Melissa?
Basically, like my time there, I would say that all of the chefs were amazing. And like we were talking about Chef Coppage really quickly, but like there were so many different chefs and like their personal backgrounds and what they brought and what they taught. It was really amazing. So that's like the main thing, like I would bring back from a long time ago that I graduated already. I can't believe how long it was. But yeah, the chefs are really great, and like the structure and the classes, everything's really great there. I mean, I wouldn't change my decision. Like I said, I only applied to go there. So it was a good decision.
So Leslie, you're the newest scholar. You haven't started there yet, so you're getting a little bit of a crash course on what to
Yeah.
expect, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, a little cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't started yet. I started in January, but I'm really excited to start. And like, I'm just like excited. I just told like ever since I got the scholarship and I found out like I'm going to the CIA, I've been telling to my parents, and all I say is like I'm going to college. I'm gonna learn stuff. I'm gonna learn new things, and I'm excited to learn new things.
Yeah. I can definitely say also just the difference of like what it was versus because I fell in love with CIA because whenever I visited CIA, it felt like home. It always felt like I was welcomed and I was around like-minded people who, love food and stuff like that. Just the difference in coming back from, pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic. A lot of the activities that you can do are very different, but in general at CIA, you'll always find that group of people that you really love to hang out with, and it's really easy to make friends. So that's one thing that I think you'll love about CIA.
I hope so. Yeah. I wanted to mention too, like a lot of you guys mentioned like the military like discipline, like harsh discipline, not harsh, but like discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like I noticed during competition a lot since this is like still fresh on my mind. Like my teachers, we had 3 teachers who would help us compete, and they were on us for everything. They were like, why isn't this clean? Why isn't your station clean? Why are your knife cuts not on par and stuff like that? So like I'm like I guess prepared for that.
Yeah. Also, don't like confuse us saying that it's militaristic with just like it being a harsh environment. This industry is a hard industry. It does get real. It does, people sometimes do get up in your face, and chef does, yell. They're usually yelling at the situation, not you. But honestly, everyone at CIA, the teachers, they're all here because they love, being around food, and they love just helping you. They're here to build your career and help you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind as well. I know, like, we keep saying militaristic this, militaristic that, but it's still a positive environment. And, like anywhere else, it still has things to change, but it's getting better.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think it's interesting that Russell really thrived at CIA, not partially because of that kind of discipline. He really he got it right away. That he was all about professionalism and making sure that things looked correct and that he was following all the right the checklists. He was making he really was the first time in his life, I think, that he really understood that you needed to follow all the checklists and everything, make sure that everything was done properly so that it would look right at the end. I think it was the first time that he really disciplined himself.
And Dad said it's because he could, I think he finally saw the reason for the rules.
Yeah.
And he understood what the goal was and why the rules were important. Because
so let's talk now.
I took Russell to the Windows on the World breakfast, the last breakfast at Windows on the World, which was the award breakfast, for him to meet whoever was going to go to the CIA so that he could sort of give him some guidance to talk about how strict it was there, because New York City kids are not used to things like that.
Right. Well, I wonder now, before we wrap, I'd love to hear what you guys are doing now and what, how people that are watching can get involved, starting with CCAP. I mean, the fact that you guys had your big benefit just before everything got locked down is kind of amazing. And from what I understand, and it's allowed you guys to continue to provide a lot of the services that you provide year round, somewhat more virtually right now, I would imagine, than usual. But can you guys talk a little bit about what CCAP is doing during this craziness and how people can help support CCAP in the future?
Yeah, I think like every organization out there today, everyone's had to pivot slightly, but we're extremely grateful that we had our big fundraiser at the end of February, just before everything shut down, which is
and honoring your dad.
Yes, honoring my father, and also Sarah Beth Levine of Sarah Beth's,
right.
And who's been a longtime supporter of CCAP. And I have some of like my first memories of going back in a kitchen was with Sarah Beth, and she would have an entire tray of brownies, and she'd lure me into the kitchen and give me brownies and cookies, and I loved going to Sarah Beth's, of course. But yeah, so we're very fortunate that we've we got our fundraiser in before everything shut down. That being said, of course, there isn't going to be a fundraiser like the past fundraisers that we've had because we can't gather in groups. And sadly, so many of the restaurants that support us have either had to close or, won't be able to provide food at an event like that anyway. So we are definitely thinking of other ways to generate funding. We're potentially going to be doing some online cooking demonstrations with some alumni. That's sort of being spearheaded by the CCAP Junior Board, which is very exciting. And
We're going to have some of that at our auction.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, we're all sort of having to think outside the box, but things are moving forward, and schools have signed up for CCAP again. So
virtual.
Yeah, virtual. A lot of the cooking videos that have been used in years past are probably going to be used a bit more through a company called Ruby.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are going to be come in handy as well. But yeah, we are, always accepting donations at ccapinc.org, and just to keep the organization afloat and keep helping kids like all of you guys achieve your college dreams and working in the industry. So the industry.
Yeah. I have to say that we were so happy to be able to CCAP. We knew about CCAP before Russell even went to the CIA. A friend of ours was on the board, Rick Isaacson, and and he convinced us to go, and first to the benefit and then to whatever. And we think it's a great organization, and I personally have always been so impressed with the fact that Richard keeps in touch with so many of the kids, and that CCAP is really there for kids to turn back to. If they have any questions or needs, that there's a network there, and I think CCAP Connect is going to be a huge success.
Yeah, and I also have some Sesame Street questions at the end.
Of course. Oh my God.
Deborah is the voice of Flippy, Elmo's cell phone on Sesame. Smarty. All right, Smarty.
My brother's name is Flip. So I'm a smartphone, and my older brother's name is Flip.
And here I am, the dummy. All right. But I'd love to ask Terry. Terry, what's it like for you? Are you going to be teaching this semester? Are you preparing for?
No, I retired now. 4 years, 5 years, 5 years.
All right.
5 years.
Wow.
Very good. 2 years.
So you're just cooking for yourself now, then?
Melissa has an amazing cake.
Our house in Long Island, and I usually bring over a ton of food there.
Nice.
So weekends cooking, and I take it out during the week.
All right, I'm on my way.
I have to say that I'm grateful, and I'm sure everyone on this call is grateful that we have culinary skills. I mean, I grew up with this guy, so I learned, growing up how to cook basic things. But I can't even tell you how many calls and texts and emails I've gotten during quarantine and this whole pandemic situation. How do I cook this? I'm trying to make simple meals for my family. What do I do? And so I'm just so grateful that I, live in a house full of cooks.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've cooked some of like the best things in my life, I think, during quarantine, because I was in a house with a lot of people too. Me and my best friend, I stayed with him. And the amount of stuff that I was cooking, because I cooked for 9 people every single day,
Wow.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we're making restaurant style meals. We didn't make, we didn't cheap out. We made restaurant style meals every single day. And I've had like some of the best food of my life during quarantine. It's crazy.
That's a nice silver lining. You were running your own boutique restaurant.
Yeah.
And what about the rest of you guys? What are you guys working on now that we can, where people can, where we can send people to, help support you in these times, or to, just to talk about what's keeping you busy in cooking these days?
Melissa, tell us about your cake business.
Yes, I do cakes from home. I mean, I've been doing it for quite some time now. It just started, I think, 12 years ago, I want to say, when I did my my cousin's daughter's first birthday party. And so that was 12 years ago. I started a cake business from home, just like word of mouth. I have a Facebook, Cakes and More by Melissa Montalbano. And I post my things on there. Since the whole coronavirus happened, it's basically stopped. I had a lot of orders canceled because of parties canceled, and quarantine took a big hit. I mean, slowly starting to have business now, but still being kind of cautious about it since I'm pregnant with my third child. So it's been interesting. You have to like adjust your life and stuff, but I'm still doing it slowly, mainly family right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Nicole?
Nicole?
Currently, I got actually some cool news. I shared it a little earlier. Right now, I work at a bakery in Jeffersonville, and just I secured everything. I'm going to actually go work for Hudson Valley Duck Farms, Hudson Valley Frogwa. I'm going to be their new quality control manager, and I get to like live in a house on the farm, and it's a really great operation, very ethical actually, but like great opportunity. I'm going to learn so many new things, a lot of certifications through the job, and so that's what I'm like working on and doing.
How did you get the job?
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's so crazy how I got this job. Actually, I really quickly tell you the story. I was working. I'm working at the bake shop still. I'm going to be done by the end of this month. This new girl named Michelle had just started working maybe a month ago. And I was having some like issues with the bakery in the sense that I didn't feel like it was being run so greatly. So I was just, in there doing my job every day, like really getting stuff done. I would stay there and I would clean the place, like just on my own. I'd be like, this place looks like it needs some TLC. So she ended up messaging me one day out of the blue. I didn't even have her phone number. And she said, hey, it's Michelle, I got a really great job opportunity for you. You can't tell anybody. It's just like, I'll tell you more about it when I see you. It's just because I feel like you'll be a really good fit. You're a really great worker and all this and this and that. So I had never even really talked to this girl before. It was just for me going to work every day, doing my job, putting in my all, even if like it wasn't like the best place to be doing it. And this girl saw something in me, and that's how I actually got that, the foot in the door to say, and so I contacted the person. Actually, her partner is the plant. Her partner is plant manager. Her brother's plant manager, and she is like a step below him. So I, met her and did the interview, and we talked a lot, and we went through it, and that's how I got the job. So it's just, you never know what's gonna come to you. Just do the best you can every day, and like you'll get somewhere.
Yeah, I think goes unseen.
Do you know the owner?
How do I
know the owner?
Do I know the owner? I've met the owner one time. I've just during the interview process. I haven't really gotten to meet him much, but once I get settled, I'll learn more. And
his name?
I feel like I'm like a bad person for not knowing this.
First name Michael?
I wanted to say Michael, but then I didn't want to get it wrong. Yes, it's actually a Michael. Yes.
Right. Well, when you get started working,
okay,
you tell him that you're a CCAP. If he doesn't know it, you're a CCAP friend, and that Mr. Grousman sends his regards.
Okay, I will definitely.
Now, it's very interesting because foie gras has gotten a terrible name.
Yes, it has.
And California has banned it, and New York, it's talking about banning it.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because the product is so wonderful. And I was with Michael when he first introduced his product to France.
Mhm.
We went to Paris and had, I don't know, 12 food critics for lunch. And they were all saying, oh, you cannot make foie gras in America.
I think he told me this story.
And everybody was so blown away by the product. And the next year we went down to Côte d'Azur and he did another tasting down there. It was wonderful.
You know everybody, Richard, in the industry. It's so great.
That's so funny that, do you know the guy's name? Because I know his name.
I know. It's like,
Put her on the spot.
Well,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm gonna drop his name, but first I'm gonna give you a pop quiz, and then I'll drop.
So I think that nobody is going to be tuning on for this long, Jordan. Didn't we talk about that? So we'll
see.
you all
There are still people watching. So
Yeah.
yeah. Like I said, I'm probably gonna break the videos up when I put them up on the YouTube after this. But if anybody is still, the people that are watching now are getting the live feed. You can't put a price on that. Anybody that's watching. Some people showed up late as well.
And the date of
Be
the
on time
event
next week.
is coming up, right? It's September 16th.
Yeah, September 16th is going to be our live streaming comedy show, which is going to be live streamed from the Zinc Bar. I've been running a show there for about a decade. I've been running a live comedy showcase there, and the owner there has become a good friend as well, and he's offered to let us use that venue as the place that we live stream it from, so that it's not going to be it won't look as much like the Brady Bunch.
And the end of the auction.
And the silent auction will close then as well.
Right.
But I'd love to just, as we wrap.
There's a jazz bar, and they're already doing some music from there, right, Jordan?
Yes. I'd love to hear from Jaquad and Jesse and Leslie as to what you guys are doing now. What do you want to talk about what you're up to these days?
So pre-pandemic, I was doing my business. I've ran a business, catering and just delivering, whether it be baked goods or actual food products, to private dining situations or public dining as well. I've been doing both since I was 12. And this year's kind of put a halt to that. So I'm kind of at a point where, here at CAA, we can't really use the kitchens right now. So that kind of puts a bummer in my production. But after I graduate, as soon as I, graduate, I plan on getting my own place and just starting from, where I left off basically and catering again. Whether that be cakes, cookies, pies, savory foods, whatever it is. That's where I'm going to pick up from. And then also I plan on having a job in between that part-time to kind of supplement the income until my catering can become my full-time job again.
Cool.
Jean Forget?
Huh?
Jean Forget. Jean-Rony Forget is a graduate. He has his own company in Brooklyn, and he's doing mail order. And he used to, his cakes and pastries are fabulous. But he's someone that you could connect with, or you could write to me and I'll connect you so that you can learn from him.
Okay.
What he's doing. There's so many of you that leave school and go into business on your own.
Yeah.
Without the benefit of people who have done it before you.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that CCAP Connect will expose this to you so that you can reach out and ask questions and get guidance. Because there's so many things, insurance and health department and all different things that you have to be aware of when you're starting your own business.
Yeah.
You know what? One of the things that I've learned over the years of just being involved in this and being the mother of a chef is that chefs seem to be fairly generous with each other, as opposed to some other industries where people don't share information because they're afraid. Like the comedy field, I think, is not necessarily the nicest industry. Probably the acting field is very much the same. but the culinary field seems to be, people really seem to be always willing to help somebody else up, which I think
You know,
is
I would say that's a more recent thing too, because like growing up, I know it was very hard for me to find recipes and just get certain resources. But definitely, like as I get into the culinary field more and more, I definitely agree with you. Like currently, it is very accessible, you know, for chefs to really bond over just the fact that, you know, they're both chefs, they're both in the industry, stuff like that.
Exactly. Everybody's rooting for each other. Nobody, not everybody's out for themselves. And that's really
Yeah.
nice to see.
Before we wrap, I'd love to hear from Jesse and Leslie as to what's going on now, what we can expect from you in the future, what you want to plug, anything like that.
Yeah. I'm actually I've been home quarantined, pandemic and everything, but I've been like experimenting with a lot of like recipes, like trying to perfect like as many as I can, or like try to like improve recipes and like my techniques and stuff like that. And I have like my own Instagram page where I just post like videos of me making them and stuff like that. Just because it's fun. I like editing the videos and I like showing people how it's done, and like hopefully I like teach some people how to do something that they've never tried before. So yeah, that's mainly what I've been doing. And I've also been trying to find a job, which hasn't been very successful, but it's difficult during this time.
Yeah.
While you're trying new recipes, have you used my book?
And I thought my mother was the most shameless.
Because
It's such a fabulous book. I mean, really, it's one of my Bibles. I go to it all the time.
My mom has the dog-eared first edition.
I offer house calls. So if you have any problems, you can FaceTime me and I can help you with the recipes.
My favorite thing ever, I got a copy of your book a number of years ago, and you put your phone number in it. You said you give your phone number or your email address to everybody that you've ever given a copy to, so they can call or email you with problems. But you get so few calls or emails because the recipes in the book are perfect.
They've been tested. They were tested. I don't even know how many times, because he would make a recipe like probably 20 times until it was perfect. And we kept eating it.
So great.
Even the imperfect ones were delicious. So.
And so I just want to hear from Jessie. By the way, Jessie helps us at our live event every year. She and her mother and her boyfriend are at our front desk, behind the scenes. Like they do a lot of the actual heavy lifting of some of the actual physical things that need to be done at our our in-person fundraiser when we've done it in the past. Sort of a key component of our team. I know that you're recovering right now, so not exactly working, but if there's anything that you'd like to plug, I want to make sure that we highlight, all of you guys so much, and the importance that we feel all of you for.
Well, honestly, right now, all I'm doing is trying to recover and working my way through that. Hopefully in about a year, I'll be able to get back into the business and the industry and start working towards any one of my possible goals that I've set for myself. I would love to have my own business again and start that up, but only time will tell what's available, because with the pandemic, that just adds a couple more hurdles. So we'll see. But right now, it's rest and rest and rest for me.
Right. Well, this is fantastic. I can't thank you guys all enough for coming on and doing this.
Jordan.
No problem.
We've been on here for about 45 minutes now, it feels like. So I don't want to keep anybody too much longer. But if there's any final parting words anybody wants to say before I start playing the interview that we did with Dominique and Santo yesterday, I'd love to hear some more before I do that.
I just wanted to thank you for having us, and it was so great to hear from all the CCAP grads, and to hear about your journeys thus far. And it's really inspiring to me. And I remember tasting all the crepes and the chickens at the final competition, and I've tasted many over the years, and it's one of my favorite days of the year. That and the scholarship awards breakfast. It just brings so much joy, and I love watching everyone along their journeys. So best of luck to everyone, and keep us posted at CCAP and let us know what you're doing. So yeah, we can follow you, and we're very proud of everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My final words would be just, as you said, just thank you guys for having us. Thank you for supporting us constantly and sticking by us, and being that resource we can go back to. Both CCAP and the Ferbers have been huge supporters of all of our careers, of course. And just I think you guys don't realize how much you're shaping lives, and you really are making a big difference. And like you said, making the world a better place, one chef at a time, one person at a time. Yeah. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Chef360. I also have a Facebook, which is the same, Chef360.
Yeah, I will tag everybody, everybody's handles. Tomorrow, I'll make sure I update all of the videos to have that underneath there, so that everybody that comes to this video will see it on the YouTube and the Facebook. I'll tag everybody.
If you want some random behind the scenes Sesame Street photos, you can follow me on Instagram. I also have a lot of food photos because I'm obsessed with eating.
Me too. I don't think you grow up in your household and not be obsessed with eating.
I think you're right. we are all obsessed.
In the best ways, though,
For sure.
Well, this has been amazing. I can't thank you guys enough for coming to do this.
And thank you for everybody who's tuned in to watch this. We really can't tell you how much we appreciate it and how much we appreciate your support so that we can continue to do this.
Yes. And we look forward to September 16th, to the event.
And the next 2 Wednesdays in a row as well. Next Wednesday, we're going to be interviewing one of Russell's teachers from elementary school. We're going to be interviewing, I believe, somebody from CIA. We're going to
some of Russell's friends.
Some of Russell's friends. And then September 9th, we're going to have a whole bunch of chefs, a chef that Russell worked for, a couple of his baking partners and friends from CIA when he was there, and maybe a special guest or two. So that should be fun as well.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
And for those of you watching, I am about to play our interview with Dominique and Santo in just a moment.
This is why, because baseball, all of it,
Where am I here?
Thank you for all that you guys do for CCAP and have done over the years.
Well, we couldn't have done it without you guys, obviously.
Your support is invaluable, and it's like we've heard from all the graduates, life-changing. So
yeah,
thank you.
I'm going to play our interview with Santo and Dominique. So you don't have to stick around, but I'm going to come back at the end and do a sign off. And then I'm going to break these up into separate videos on our YouTube. So. Well, first, let's just say welcome. Welcome to our virtual fundraiser, Santo and Dominique. Yes, our first scholar and our third scholar.
Right. I love that when Russell was accepted into the CIA, he thought he was going to start right away. He didn't understand, the stream system that they had at the time.
Yeah.
And so he quit his job, gave notice to his job that he was going to leave and he was going to come home. And he was going to start at the CIA, but of course they didn't have any classes starting in the CIA. They didn't have any pastry streams starting until March. And even then, they didn't really have room for him. But somehow, with a couple of phone calls from people that we knew and that knew CIA people, they took him in March.
Yeah, it's classic Russell. Like, no, I'm ready to learn now. If you don't put me in class now, I'm never doing this.
So how did Dominique? You were our first, so how did you get involved in CCAP?
I got involved in CCAP when I was picking out my high school because I'm not sure if they still do it or not. You had to pick out your high school, like your top 3 high schools that you want to go to on the little form. Mm-hmm. And my choice was Long Island City High School because of the culinary program, because I wanted to cook. So I got accepted into the culinary program. And LIC was already in with CCAP, because they've had scholars long time. People we know on TV nowadays, which is LIC. So that's how I got involved.
How intense was the preparation for those competitions?
It was already in with CCAP, because they've had scholars long time. People we know on TV nowadays, which is LIC. So that's how I got involved.
How intense was the preparation for those competitions?
It wasn't that bad. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Everybody else was like, don't worry. If you worry, you mess up. Just decompress.
Yeah.
But you had to
Trusting the
memorize.
chicken. That trusting the chicken. I always remember how to French a chicken breast now.
You know what I always think about the potatoes, how everybody.
Oh, the turnot. I can't do those no more. 7 sides and an equal point on each side.
I know, exactly. I mean, and that you had to memorize the recipe.
Yes. But my pastry cream is even better now.
Your pastry cream. Oh, I can't make
Even
pastry.
better now. That's
In
really
fact-
how I got the scholarship. But
But you
Mr. Grousman, his daughter, she was one of the tasters for the competition. She's
Deborah.
like, yes, she's like, her crepes are really good. No, like her crepes are excellent good. She kept saying that over and over again.
But she's going to be on tomorrow night.
Oh, so I said hello.
She's going to be representing CCAP for us. So how did you get involved in CCAP, Santo?
How did I get involved in CCAP? So when I went to high school, I remember the freshman year you would do the walk around when like you were in the 8th grade, and they had a culinary program. My mom was like, "Oh, you should join the culinary program." Meanwhile, I went to school for I wanted to do the automotive side of it. So they had an automotive school and they had culinary, and my junior year, I needed to take an extra class in high school. So I said, all right, that's fine. I'll do culinary. At the time, I looked at it as just like a regular class, you know, like something, an extra elective, something that I could actually do and get a good grade and bring my GPA up. So I remember my junior year, I wound up going into culinary class, and we started cooking and learning the basic fundamentals of cooking and stuff like that. And I started taking a liking into it. I was watching, I didn't know how the program really went. I remember they were getting involved with CCAP, and my high school never won anything from CCAP. At the time, meanwhile, in junior year, my cousin opened up a bakery on Staten Island, and I winded up working for him because I needed some extra money. I was getting my driver's license. I wanted to buy a car, so I was working in the bakery and stuff like that, and I started doing barista. That's where I started, really. And senior year rolls around, and my chef at the time was telling me, you should try, doing CCAP, try going for a scholarship. What are you going to do after high school? I had no intentions of, I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school. After high school, it was like, well, I'm working in a restaurant right now and I kind of like it. I enjoy it. I really wanted to go into the military. My mom was like, she wanted to kill me before my time. She's like, absolutely not. She's like, you're not doing that. And I said to her, I was like, no, I really want to go into the Marines.
Oh, wow.
And
how macho of you?
Huh? Well, I saw it this way. I would go to college for free. I would see the world.
Yeah.
And I would help my country.
Yes.
So.
No, I'm not against it. I'm just,
Right. That's where my mentality was 12 years ago.
Right. Okay.
So senior year we started competing, and we did our first competition before CCAP. I did a competition with Johnny Azzini, with a bunch of different schools from the 5 boroughs. It was also organized by CCAP, and we had to do a Bush to Noel cake. And he gave this strategic recipe that was just like, wasn't your average cook recipe. You know what I mean? Like, if you didn't know what you were doing, it was coming out bad. And I remember the presentation that we gave was terrible. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, if I had to do it today, it would be totally different. But we hit every component that he wanted. We followed that recipe to the T, and we ended up winning. And the prize of that was him coming to the school and giving a demonstration on like 2 of the things that they serve at John George.
Okay.
So my chef Ryan at the time was like, listen, I need you to compete. You got to compete. You got to do it. He's like, throughout the year, we're going to go to tours. We're going to see different culinary schools. You know, it's going to open up your mind. And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, well, you know, working in the restaurant business, I kind of like what I'm doing. I always used to cook with my grandmother. Like, you know, these were all things that were dawning back on me. So I said, okay, let's try it. He goes, this is the list of what you're going to do. He's like, you got to do a French omelet, classical French omelet. You had to do the special salad and the chicken dish, which was turning potatoes. I remember telling my cousin about this little adventure that I was joining. And he goes, you know, listen, if you want to do well, that you want to do well in this competition, he's like, it's all repetition, it's all practice. I'm going to order you some stuff, but from now on, you're not going to work in the front of the house. You're going to work in the back of the house. And I never forget my first day working in his kitchen in the back of the house. I walked in after school. It was like 4 o'clock. And he had a chef there named David. And he told me, he's like, we're going to learn how to make mango mousse. I didn't even know how to whip cream. I've never did it. And he's teaching me, you know, preparing the gelatin and the purees and everything like that. And I just see the sink piling up, piling up, piling up, piling up. My cousin walks into the kitchen and he goes to me, he goes, what are you doing? I said, David's teaching me how to make mango mousse. And my first experience working in a kitchen was before you can run, you're going to have to crawl.
Wash the
My
dishes.
cousin turned around to me and said, you're not here to learn how to make mango mousse. You learn here how to wash dishes.
Okay.
That job.
Yep. But in the gist of it, he said, after you're done washing dishes, you could practice for your competition. He goes, so this way you see how a kitchen really works. He used to have a sign in his kitchen that used to say 6 P's of life. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. And that really stuck to me. I must have gone through cases of eggs. Chicken, like, by the time the competition came around, I was sick of everything. I did everything flawless, like I practiced over and over and over and over again. And the morning of the competition, like when they announced the winnings of the competition, I went with my mom and I told my mom, I said, look, I said, you know, I gave it all that I got, no matter how, whatever comes out. I said, even if I won $500, at the end of the day, I had fun doing it. And
you did the best you could.
Huh?
And like you said, you gave it your all. You did the best you could.
Right. I said, nothing's going to change. I said, even if I got $500 scholarship, I woke up $500 richer than I did this morning, you know?
True.
And I remember sitting in that room and everybody's name being called. And I'm looking at my mom. She's like, all right, you know, you did a good job, you know? I said, yeah, I know. And I was the last one to be called. That was the first time I've ever met you.
Yep.
And I met you guys, and that experience was memorable. Something that, you know, you can't put a price on something like that. You know, watching your parents grow up, you getting a scholarship, you know, putting in the work, working hard, staying the long hours, practicing, repetition, you know, that's something that nobody could ever take away from you.
So true.
And starting at such a young age, you know, learning that has really helped me currently now, you know, in my lifetime. And I think that will continue to happen as I get older.
How was that experience for you, Dominic, when you got the scholarship? What was that experience like for you? Because I know that we've been to those. I don't think I went to the first couple of them, but
No, you didn't. It was only your mother and your father that came to mind.
I've been to some of the award ceremonies since then, and it is powerful being in that room.
Yes. Initially, I thought I got the Johnson and Wales scholarship. So I didn't think I was going to get the CIA scholarship. So I mean, Bobby Flay said, all of you have a scholarship. I just can't tell you where, because he talked to Richard about who he was going to give the scholarship to. He didn't want to make sure it was like a double scholarship thing. And I was like, everyone's name being called. I was like, okay. Then it got down to the last two. I was like, alrighty. And then the girl who got the Johnson and Wales, she was sitting right next to me. And I said, I'm the last. I said, I think I got CIA, Ma. She was like, what? Like, what is that? Because I'd never even visited the school. I didn't visit the school until after I got the scholarship.
Wow. It's an amazing campus, isn't it? I mean, it's just, I remember going the first time we went up there with Russell. Russell originally applied to FCI. That's where he wanted to go. But he had really been such a screw up at that point that I said to him, you have to work in a restaurant for 6 months, or I'm not sending you to culinary school, because we had sent him to college out in California. So, and I always say we flushed all that money down the toilet, which was a lot of money. Because he came home Thanksgiving and he never went back. So.
And he knew before Thanksgiving that he wasn't coming back. Those are stories that are not appropriate, probably for
this right now.
We could tell that. I'll tell you that story when we stop recording. Yeah. How did you guys find it? What was your experience like at the CIA?
It was fun. I have so many friends now that I still talk to from CIA. Basically, all my friends I talk to from the CIA, either CIA or later.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I loved it. I love the smell, especially in the bread class. There's something about fresh baked bread, hot out the oven. It gives this smell, and then you let it cool down a little bit. You just put a little smear of butter on it.
Yeah.
It's heaven.
Can't go wrong with a schmear.
Just a little smear. But it was so much fun. It was also a culture shock a little bit, certain things.
Yeah.
Like those groundhogs, bless
They
they
were all
heart.
over the place.
Those groundhogs, I have a friend who was deathly afraid of the groundhogs. But of course,
I'll tell you a funny story about the groundhogs. My move-in day was August 27th.
Oh.
And my mother came to drop me off, and she was like the last one to leave. There was a groundhog. And I clapped my hands, and I stomped my feet, and the groundhog ran past her, and she took off running into the car. I think it was like the best experience. Me and my sister talked about it. We laughed about it.
That's hilarious.
Like I had a friend, like if she saw one, she couldn't move around. It's like, I'm gonna leave you out here. It's too cold for this. Goodbye. It's not thinking about you. But the geese, on the other hand, those things were vicious. Those geese, oh no, they would chase you.
That's funny. That's really funny that we asked you guys what you thought about the CIA, and you're like, "Oh, the wildlife, the groundhogs."
Really
I mean, not just a culture shock. Dealing with some of our neighbors also was.
Yes, our neighbors. It was their land. We were just visiting.
Well, we love that we get to stay connected to you guys as well. I love.
But they've both done you've both done really interesting stuff since you left the CIA. Dominique first went back to Walt Disney World where you had done your externship.
Yes.
And so you went back there, and then you came back to the CIA to get your bachelor's. But
yes,
tell us about Disney.
Disney is a whole beast within itself. There's like 5 different culinaries. Like there's fast food, quick service, then casual dining, then fine dining, and then it's the grand buffets. So there's buffets, and then there's catered events.
Right.
It's just we worked muffins and cookies because I went on externship right before Christmas. So Christmas cookies was my thing. I was very good at sprinkling some cookies for Christmas that we didn't even use half of, but that's okay. Neither here nor there. So I did that. Then muffins for daily conferences. Some days just 5 dozen, some days 120 dozen. So you have to go with the flow. I worked at the Polynesian, the Boardwalk, and the Yacht and Beach Club.
I remember when you worked at the Yacht and Beach Club.
Yes, the second time I went. Which those are like the big ones. But then when I went to the Yacht and Beach, I forget, he was a very, very tall executive chef. He seemed very scary, but he wasn't. He was very nice. He's the one that did all those large gingerbread houses that you see, like, the Disney Magic thing.
Oh, wow.
It's his recipe from Germany with a little bit of orange zest in it. Like, and it's like you have to make all the panels for him.
Wow.
He was crazy. Like the ones that you can, like the kids can walk in and stuff. He made those.
Wow.
So I worked for him also.
Oh, nice.
And then you were at Citi Field.
Yes. Before the pandemic happened.
Did you get to meet Mr. Met?
I have the picture.
You got a picture with Mr. Met.
Yes, because last year I was the employee of the month, I think for July.
Nice.
So I have an authentic Louisville Slugger with my name on it.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
That is
How
awesome.
nice is that?
I just think it's
like
funny,
big.
It's funny that you go from Disney to taking pictures with Mr. Met. You know, you got there's only
one
guy in a suit.
No, one of my roommates was a Disney character.
Oh yeah, really? Which one?
She played Stitch. No, she played She played Stitch, Minnie Mouse, and something else. Like she played like the small people.
Okay.
Because there's a height requirement for every character.
Santo, what have you been doing since CIA?
So when I graduated CIA or currently?
Between.
All right. So once I graduated Culinary Institute of America, I wound up going back to work for my cousin. I worked for him for 6 months and was offered a chance to do a competition for Albert Eastern Imports.
Yeah, but a worldwide competition, not just
Right.
a competition. I mean, an international competition of pastry chefs, which is
right. So at the time, there was this company called Egypt that was throwing the best pastry chef under 21.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sponsored by Albert Eastern Imports, and I got to go to Italy, and I had to do sugar piece, chocolate piece, bonbons, an entremet with 7 components, ice cream, and a mystery basket. That was the last thing, yes. Because I didn't know what was going to be going on, and you weren't allowed to use recipes. And out of 14 countries, we wound up finishing 4th place. We trailed right behind France. I got to represent.
But 21 teams, though. I mean,
yeah.
There may have only been 14 countries, but there were 21 teams, and you came in 4th, right?
Yeah. And that was an experience of a lifetime. It was a lot of fun. After that, I was offered a job in DC to go work for the company. But I wound up staying with my cousin. And shortly after that, I wound up working for
Daniel Boulud.
Yes.
I know. I can remember what you've done.
I wound up working for Daniel Boulud. I worked at Bar Boulud, Boulud Sud. I worked underneath Chef Gaia. And at the time, actually, she just recently won a James Beard Award.
Wow.
And it was tough working for a woman. And it was even tougher working for a woman at that caliber. Because face it, I mean, men think that we're all great and dandy, but we think we're perfect, but they're 10 times more perfect. And you have to be on your game to work side by side with a woman of that caliber. I mean, like every day I was like, did I do this? Did I get that? I would leave myself sticky notes in my locker to make sure like I didn't mess anything up because I didn't want to get yelled at. And I got to do a event with Marcus Samuel while I was working there at Red Rooster at the time. And Daniel Boulud gave me his blessing to represent his place, which was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Very, very nerve-wracking. Because that's all I needed was like, oh, this kid messed up and I'm working for the best of the best. It doesn't get any better than that. And thank God everything went fine. At the time, once I did that, Richard invited me to go judge one of the competitions for the kids. And I met Chef Phil at the Lighthouse. And he offered me a job. And he's like, what do you want to do? You want to come work for me and work production? I said, I could do production. I've been doing production since I'm 14.
The lighthouse is at Chelsea Piers.
Right,
Yeah.
Chelsea
Right.
Piers.
Well, not everybody knows that, you see.
Right. And I wound up taking the job at Chelsea Piers, and I worked at Pier 60. And at the time I was hired, we had menu development going on, and the chef at the time wasn't really happy that I had ideas. That's why he's no longer there. And I remember speaking to Abigail Kirsch and showing her what I brought to the table.
Mhm.
And last time I checked, they still have it on their menu. I brought them PB&J bars.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes
So-
the simplest things are the best things.
Yeah,
That's how I feel about my bourbon ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Ooh,
Ooh.
Bourbon
that
brown
sounds
sugar
good,
ice
Jordan,
cream.
doesn't it?
Oh, that sounds like right up my alley. I would,
That's right.
Bourbon ice cream sounds really good. I'm gonna take you up on that.
yeah.
And
When
I
we
was
get-
there
when-
for some
when-
time,
when-
quite some time. And I was actually doing two jobs because I wasn't making ends meet just working there. During the holiday season, it was good, and then in January, February, I would be on the schedule for 1 or 2 days because they had no events going on.
Going on.
And it was costing me more money to take the bus than what I was bringing home in a paycheck. And I was doing two jobs, and I was working at Patricia's and on the weekends to make some extra side money. Which I did the kitchen part of it, and then they were like, "No, you should really try the front of the house. You'll enjoy the front of the house." I never did the front of the house. Like I never went up to a table before in my life, and I didn't think I had people skills to go up and speak to people or conversate with people.
Well, fewer dishes do pile up in the front of the house.
Huh? Yeah, fewer dishes do pile up. And they wound up opening up, a few years later, they ended up opening up a place up in Red Bank, New Jersey. They needed somebody to manage it. And they were like, "Oh, we want you full time." And I was saying to myself, I was like, "All right, you know what? Not making a lot of money staying here and staying in the city. I might as well give it a shot." And that's exactly what I did. I gave it a shot, and I wound up switching out from the kitchen to the front of the house, which was a totally different ballgame. I didn't see my career going that way.
But you're still there, right?
Of course.
Right, yes. And you
And
also
I enjoy it. I enjoy helping customers. I like to make people happy. There's one side of it that we all get sidetracked with. Being a chef is great, and cooking is great. Enhancing people's palates is even better. But touching people's heart with food and guiding them is a different aspect that most people tend to forget about. Being the person that they walk in and see, customers, they say, "Oh, customers are always right." You can never say that they're wrong. And trying to make everybody happy, it's a job within itself. I mean, I kind of like doing that. I'm having fun with pleasing people, and I still get to do my desserts when I'm bored. I'm my own boss. If I want to make something for the restaurant and put it on the specials for the week, I do it. When I want to go in the kitchen, the guys tell me these are the specials, and I tell them, "Hey, no, look, let's do it with let's add saffron, let's add this, let's add that." It's a lot more being more involved, I guess. Seeing numbers, crunching numbers.
And are you open? Is the restaurant open?
Right now, in the state of New Jersey, it's only outdoor dining.
Right, okay.
Food industry, all in all, has taken a hit since this whole thing has happened.
Big hit.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're doing this partially. We want to make sure that all the people that have supported us over the years are that are still working in the industry are still have a voice. There's we put together.
And Dominique is looking for a job, everybody, in the culinary field, because as much as Macy's loves her, she doesn't love Macy's as much as she loves being in the kitchen. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. A lot of industries are hurting, and I think the restaurant and hospitality industries are going to be the hardest to come back at full strength.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
you know,
Well, I can tell you that the good news is that in Denmark, all the restaurants are open. So that's a good thing to know that in the future, we might actually be able to open again, because I have a friend in Copenhagen who eats out all the time. And he's always posting pictures about of his food. He ate at Nona just the other day. So
You too could do that after you quarantine for 14 days before they let you.
no, you can't get into. You're not.
No,
We're not
we
even
can't go
allowed
over
into
there.
They don't want
Yeah.
Americans.
We're not allowed into Denmark yet, but I'm just saying that
They absolutely don't want
the
Americans.
kids have been in school since the beginning of May or late April. I mean, they just.
I saw a sign outside of I saw a sign outside of a store in England, and it said that Americans must be accompanied by an adult.
We
Well,
can
you
go
know,
certain places though.
as difficult as what's happening in the world is right now, I'm grateful and glad that you know, we're got a lot of innovators and smart people, you know, in our corner as well, that are helping us to still find a way to put together something for this year for our fundraiser, and to keep, you know, all the gears in motion. So thank you guys for being available to come and sit down with us today.
Oh, absolutely. I would like to do this more often.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now we know how to get you.
It'd be like a monthly sitcom.
Yeah. We'd be laughing.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. It is it's heartwarming to me to have had so many of you hanging out with us, and I thought this was really fun to meet some of the kids, to chat with them, to give them an opportunity to chat with each other as well. And that's going to do it for tonight's live broadcast. Do make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and at the Russell Ferber Foundation on Instagram at Russell Ferber Foundation. I will put all of the Instagram links to our kids on the bottom of the YouTube video here, and I'll be putting these videos up as some shorter videos on our YouTube channel as well over the next couple of days. So thank you guys very much. And next Wednesday, September 2nd, we're doing it again, and we're going to have hopefully some friends of Russell's that are going to come on, and somebody that was his teacher in elementary school, as well as a teacher of mine from elementary school, where we normally hold our live event every year. So that's going to do it. Good night, everybody. Thanks. And thank you, Russell.